Okay, good evening, everybody. We're going to call the meeting to order. Our August 13th, 2019 ANC 2C meeting. Introduction of commissioners. We have Jamal Burton, who is the secretary. We have Michael over here, who's the vice president, and our vice chairman, Michael Schenkel, and treasurer as well. And I'm Kevin Wilsey. I'm the chairman of 2C. There's a quorum of 3 of 3 commissioners, and so we'll move right along to the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or subtractions?
There are, talk into the microphone. We're going to do that job of talking into the microphone. There are actually 2 changes to the agenda. We will not have representation from MPD 2nd Ward, or MPD 2, District 2 at this point. Lieutenant Heath and Sergeant Shed have been reassigned, so they'll be sending someone to our next meeting. And the second change to the agenda relates to transportation and public space. With the Legacy Owner Group, they have withdrawn their application for a sidewalk cafe.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda with the changes.
Sorry.
All in favor? Aye. It's unanimous. Did everybody have a chance to look at the June minutes?
Yes. And I would like to make a motion we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Is there a treasury report?
There is. The current balance in our account as of August 13th was $51,162.99. We had one withdrawal during this month, or one disbursement during this month, and that was for the preparation of the June minutes. We did receive 2 disbursements for quarter 1 and 2. So that brings our balance to $51,162.99. I would also like to move that we approve the ANC quarterly financial report FY19 quarter 3. This quarter covers April, May, and June of 2019. We started that period with $46,838.22. We also had one allotment from the district in the amount of $1,541.59. And we had one disbursement, again, for the preparation of minutes during that time period, leaving us at the end of June with $48,229.81. So I'd like to move that we accept the quarterly financial report for submission.
Second the motion. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Moving on to 3 community announcements. Do we have anybody from the mayor's office tonight? I think she can come in. Let's move right on to the representatives from MPD District, 1st District.
Yes.
Captain DeRoe.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I'm going to start off by introducing Sergeant George Jones, who came with me. She's our KSA 101 Evening Sergeant. So, And we've spoken a little bit about the crime stats in the last month, but generally continuing the trends where we're actually slightly down with the last 30 days on violent crime. We've had 4 robberies versus 7, and robberies generally are our primary violent crime in the area, in your area, Chinatown. So a little bit less than last year. Property crime is still trending down, double digits, so looking good at property crime. That's from auto. And overall for the year, we're slightly down on violent crime. We were significantly down at the beginning of the year. We had a spike in robberies a month or 2 ago. So that's slowed down a little bit. We've had a few. The incidents that we're seeing are still kind of snatches, where someone runs up and snatches something out of hand. We also have had some persons in the early morning hours or late night hours sleeping or sitting on benches and being robbed, kind of where someone rides up on a bicycle or walks up. We had a good closure just a few days ago of one of those where a victim was sleeping on the side, kind of propped up inside the building after coming home from work, and woke up to a gentleman going through his pockets, a suspect, and he actually chased the guy a little bit, and when the officer saw him, put him in the car, and they were able to stop him and make that apprehension. So hopefully he was good for a few more cases, and it's always good to get someone like that off the street. Have had a couple of good closures as well. We've always had a good closure rate in Chinatown, so we're continuing to see that trend. So overall, nothing too concerning, and I don't think we've had any real significant incidents in the last 30 days. So if you have any questions? Straight to Joanne. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just wondering, is there any, I think it's called MO, of the people who are, if you watch TV 20 years ago, that's what they said.
Yes.
The people who are sort of ripping people off on the street, I mean, is there any pattern? Is what I would say.
Ripping people off in the
Like
way.
trying to take their purses or stuff like that.
Robberies?
Snatches.
They're still out there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
do they tend to be homeless people, or they tend to be teenagers, or do they tend to be, men or women, or, I mean, is there any kind of pattern that occurs, especially during summer months when there's no school?
Yeah. So for the downtown area, we realize it is mostly men, yes. But other than that, we see a pretty good mix of suspect demographics, where it can be young, middle-aged, to older, homeless, not homeless, semi-homeless, which is what a lot of these guys are. They're not really on the street all the time. They have places to stay, but they kind of hang out on the streets a lot of the time.
It's not necessarily people who really need something like.
Well, I think in their minds they do.
Well, I've seen homeless people who don't get fed, don't get places to
Right.
stay and all that.
Yeah. No, it's not out of desperation in that sense. They're not starving, I don't think. Yeah. As an aside, MOs is what in Coplingo in DC we refer to mental health consumers as.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I thought we had some inside information there.
Different.
Yeah, we don't use that term, it came from mental observation, but now we say mental health consumers.
Well, see, I haven't seen TV for about 20 years, so, that's.
So there's been a spike on 400 Massachusetts Avenue at block on the front side of the back. There were 2 snatches in the past 2 weeks at Chinatown Coffee. One just happened yesterday, and then by the Ashton Loft as well. So there's a lot of homelessness behind Ashton Loft, and given that 400 Mass and 425 Mass, they're on the front side and the back side. So the back side of 400 Mass is 8th Street, and the front is 400 Mass. So there's been a couple of neighbors who persons have been snatched from our building, from the front side and the back, because we have 2 entrances on the 400 Mass side and on the 8th Street side as well. And then the most recent incident was yesterday, as I was walking home with my neighbor. Her laptop, cell phone, and her purse was snatched out of the coffee shop while she was there. But the officer said that there was no cameras that patrolled that area or watched over that area.
Okay, so a few things. So it sounds like these are thefts. So yeah, okay. So property crimes, and it doesn't surprise me, unfortunately. I mean, Fourth and K has been one of the hotspots in the city for years for theft from auto, for example. So there's a lot of petty theft operators in that area, and there has been for a long, long time. We're actually seeing much lower numbers than we have historically, but there's still, I'm sure there's still a lot, and that's, I hate to say it, that's just kind of one of the realities of in developed areas in the city, is that it draws a lot of kind of criminal, career criminals that just do petty theft, and they'll break into cars, they'll steal out of shops, they'll get into apartment buildings and kind of just wander around looking for stuff to steal bicycles. As far as cameras, that changes from like building to building just about within a block on how available the cameras are. We do have a camera rebate program that we encourage everyone to participate in. So you can look that up online. It's Capital Shield. We encourage all the businesses to participate in that, and also it's available for private citizens. So we do encourage the camera use. I will say that it's a great tool in following up on crimes and investigating them and getting lookouts. But the deterrent effect is not as much as one would hope sometimes. So as long call 911, let us know, and if you do see trends like that, for example, you taught me that I have a guy that's on a mountain bike during the week, Toby Green, that works that area, so I'm sure to relay that information to him and give it a little extra attention.
Now the spike is normally on the H Street side, because there's that elderly citizen.
Yeah, the public housing.
Public housing
Yes.
Space there, as well as there are a couple vacant offices and or buildings that are there as well that haven't been revitalized at all. So individuals just hang out there throughout the day, on the weekends, overnight as well.
When is it that, so it's not during business hours as much as later and?
On the weekend, yes. During the day, I'm not really home. So
Yeah, okay. And that's when my business beat guy is there, so, because it is pretty busy during business hours, so I have that guy on a bicycle, the officer on a bicycle, working during business hours during the week. Yeah, I can look and give him some more attention in the later evening hours and over the weekends. We also get quite a few narcotics complaints there,
Right.
so we have done some good work over the last 3 months or so over the summer and doing some narcotics enforcement using, confidential informants and that kind of thing. So we're working over there. It's as you know, there's some challenges, but we'll stay on it and keep communicating. And so thank you. And email me anytime. Don't for anyone, but especially for the commissioners, don't wait till the meeting. It's just if you have a trend like that, just email me and we can start working on it.
I'm curious, does the police department do any sort of longer term, looking at environments to see what creates lower crime or higher crime, so that when people like do developments or want to modify things, they can address that, so that in how they build or landscape or whatever, to try to create an environment that reduces it instead of increases it? But because you're telling me they're over there, now why are they over there instead of 2 blocks away? And what is that environment different that makes it more attractive to people who want to steal?
Now that's probably more of a research paper type of.
Yeah, it is.
But
It is.
short answer is yes, we do look at that and we can consider it constantly, and it's also very malleable. It changes, the conditions change, usually based off of where we are and the amount of attention we're giving an area.
You're deterred.
And there's also a lot of kind of socioeconomic factors that I think figure very largely into that. But yes, it is something I think about a lot, and we aren't always looped into those conversations, but when we are, we very much like to participate in that. Like for example, DDOT was doing a lighting study, and they invited me to come and give an opinion on lighting and how that affects crime. So, yeah, it's a conversation, but we're definitely not the only seat at the table a lot of times.
I was just thinking that the universities we have here, there may be some courses that would have their students start doing some studies that might help, because you don't have the staff to do it, you know, that might help.
Yeah. I think a lot of the knowledge we have, and, you know, it's not a question, but a lot of it is, there's political questions there as well, but, you know.
Oh, there are always politics.
Interestingly enough, I got a call from the Washington Post today, and they wanted me to comment on the spike in crime in Chinatown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the other one. Yeah, got a few emails from Washington Post today.
Can you comment on that?
The spike in crime in Chinatown, yeah, that's what we've been emailing about. I haven't, other than the robberies, you know, the increase in robberies during that 1 to 2 week period that we discussed a few meetings ago, we're at historical with the low levels of crime in Chinatown. So
there's no spike?
Not that I know. There's no, if you look at the numbers, you know, the amount of crimes that are being committed, no, there's no spike. We're looking pretty good. There's a perception that there's more, I think, disorder, and it's gotten a little rougher in Chinatown. And I can see that, and we've seen that throughout a lot of areas in downtown, from Union Station, you know, to Noma, you know. But a lot of that is not criminal activity, that's just, and we do have a role, I will say, NDP does have a role in maintaining a safe and orderly environment, so we try to, you know, we do try to maintain an orderly environment, but a lot of the things, just like encampments and homelessness and loitering, and are not primarily criminal issues, and we're not the lead agency in addressing them. Though we work with our partners, of course, but.
Is that what makes it appear more somewhat that people are calling it a spike?
Based on the meetings I've had with gallery place and businesses in the area, then yeah, that's my impression. I'm not sure why the Post is saying that, but that would be a guess.
Some editor wants to think.
Yeah, and when you do look at crime data in the city, you do see the heat sensor.
Yeah.
In the Chinatown Penn Quarter area, so
Oh,
that
for
is
sure.
also the cross pattern for the city as well. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of people going through that area. I
But
just
it's
wanted.
month after month, I mean, year after year, compared to the same month previous year, rather than compared to April.
Right.
So.
Or
it may
compared
not
to a different
really-
neighborhood.
It may not really be a spike, it may be a
Oh, right.
seasonal change.
Right, seasonal change, right. I just wanted to thank you for putting extra officers in the area over the last couple of months to help address some of the problems that have happened. I think that has been a really positive thing for the neighborhood, so thank you.
Sure thing. And we'll continue to monitor it and react, you know, as is appropriate. There's one more thing I want to say, but I'll forget. So, yeah, I guess we're good. Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you, Captain. Thank you so much.
And thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
I like this mutual aspect.
I don't see anybody here from Public Works, so we're going to move on to the District Arbor Transportation.
Okay. All right, thanks for having me, everybody. My name is Aaron Goldbeck. I'm a planner at EDOT. I work mostly on bicycle infrastructure, particularly capital bike-share bicycle parking and the dockless bikes and scooters, which I know are everyone's favorite thing. So we have a couple of projects that we're working on in ANC 2C, so I wanted to provide an update on that and solicit your input. So the first thing is we have a capital ledger station that we'd like to install at I and 9th Street Northwest. It's in our capital ledger development plan, which lays out, sort of a multi-year plan to grow the network. This is a great location for the station. There is an 18-foot wide sidewalk, so even with a pedestrian station installed, there would still be a 12-foot wide pedestrian aisle, which would be more than adequate.
This is on I or on
This is on I Street,
Oh, okay.
just, what would that be? Just west of 9th Street.
I
Yeah.
just didn't, when you say I-9, I wasn't sure which one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are holding off installation right now because we are aware there might be some impending development here. We're waiting to see those plans and what the public space plans are going to be and what the timeline is. But the development is delayed for any reason. We want to go ahead and install this because we think it's a pretty low-hanging fruit, and we probably should have done it before now. So we want to get to that as soon as we can. So we will hopefully have an update for the community soon when we hear back from the developer. That's pretty much all I have on the capital ledger piece.
Would you have to move it once they start
Yes.
construction, so
Yes,
that
we would.
it makes no sense to wait until it's done?
Yeah.
It moves pretty easily now.
Yeah.
We were told that. It's basically a pick up and move, and it's not,
Oh, it's
it's
not-
not bolted down or.
Oh.
Yeah, capital lecture stations are kind of neat. They're solar powered and they're modular.
Right, I see the-
Yeah, so they don't require any digging, they don't require any wiring. Takes a couple hours to pick them up. We have a truck with a crane on it, basically. We can pick them up, put them down pretty quick. So even if we hear from the developer that there is development happening, but it's still about a year out, we'll probably go ahead and put it in anyway. Yeah, so that's pretty much where we're at with that. And we've shared a lot of documentation about various, plans for this area, which I'm still in the process of reviewing. But anything else from your end that I should be aware of?
No, we met out there with the developer, Michael and I, and, they're fine with you putting it there, but they just thought, this impending development's coming, it's just gonna have to be moved, so
Yeah.
that's the point, and
Yeah.
I think they're to the point where they've gotten, their permits for their vaults,
Yeah.
and they're getting closer to what they're gonna do, so you never know with Pepco, so we just gotta wait and see for a couple of weeks, and they're fine with that.
Okay, great. All right. So moving on
And
to.
I just want to say thank you for delaying that initially during that process. It has kind of drawn on and on throughout this period of time. So I do appreciate that, and I do realize that this particular station would be the station that would service like the Apple Store area, Convention Center, those
Yeah.
kind of locations. And there's a lot that goes into the selection of a location like this, not just that we picked a big sidewalk, but there are other things that Aaron leads, and I think that is really important as far as drop off, pickup of the bikes, all of that kind of moves into that realm, so thank you for that.
That's what you all pay me to do, so I'd be happy to do it. Yes.
Is there any reason we can't put it on Mount Vernon Square? I mean,
Yes.
not this,
Yes.
but that on the sidewalk by Mount, yes, there.
Unfortunately, we really tried. That's not even really the issue. We really wanted to get something on there. The problem that I had, not to get too in weeds with it, but the stations have to be visited daily by our contractor who schleps the bikes around and repairs things and so on. And based on just the traffic patterns, they didn't have any place to park their vehicle there, and the Apple Store folks were not willing to make any sort of accommodation for us.
And 8th Street south of the east-west street wouldn't work. I mean, they don't want to cross the street, to bring a bicycle across the street.
We've had instances of people actually stealing bikes out of the back of the truck when they turn around, so they like to be pretty close to the destination.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Speaking of which, if you see any capital lecture bikes just sort of laying around with nobody near them, do feel free to give the customer service line a call or give me a call when we get those picked up, because we know that's been more of an issue lately.
Oh, since other bikes are left everywhere, they leave them too.
Yeah, I think there's been a change in user behavior, unfortunately. Okay. Anything else on the lecture piece? Okay, so the other thing I'm working on, I think it's kind of cool, we are trying to, we have heard from people that the, scooters are an issue on sidewalks. We hear that. We're working on that from multiple angles, both with the private companies that deploy the scooters through our permitting process. The big difference here, of course, is that Capital Ledger is owned by the District of Columbia. It's like the bus. It's actually a public transit option. Yeah, and we've got a brand new capital lecture, but it is DC property. Scooters, that is not the case. They're private companies who came and said, hello, we want to put these on the road, and we permitted them through our public space occupancy process. It's basically the same way we would approve a sidewalk cafe, to sort of how scooters get out there.
Is that true of the other bicycle rentals who are not stationary?
Yes, yeah. And anything that's not capital lecture is a private company that's been permitted to operate. So we want to try and clean up some of the mess and get people off the sidewalks as much as we can. So what we're doing is we're creating these parking corrals, and we want to put these actually in a roadway, not on the sidewalk, because we want people to understand that these vehicles, you know, where safe should be in the street. But really what we want is to see scooters operating in bike lanes that have dedicated infrastructure like that, not in the sidewalk and not on dangerous high-speed and volume roads. So we are deploying some of these parking corrals. They're going to have bike racks for the dockless bicycles and for personal bicycles. Anybody can use these. They're going to have some flex posts and some curb stops. So pretty, you know, typical infrastructure pieces. They're not going to look crazy. In fact, the downtown bid has already installed several of these up and down 11th Street, which we really appreciate.
Are these now black instead of white? It looks like they're black there.
Oh, it's just black and white rendering. They actually are black and white for the most part. So it's the same kind of curb stops you see right outside the Wilson building on Pennsylvania Avenue side track. It would be those things, and then the white plastic delineators that stick up. So it's pretty unobtrusive, we think. The kind of stuff you see all over the city, and then just regular
The
bike.
old ones on F Street are white, so that's why I asked.
Okay, yeah, I think these are, the ones we have right now are black ones, right? Yeah. So we've got a couple locations in mind. We're rolling this program out slowly, so we want to get it right. So we've got a few locations that we're interested in piloting in ANC2C. Oh, that's the process. This is all pretty boring. Basically, you know, we've got a data-driven approach. We actually can see where scooters tend to go. And we want to put these routes where people will use them. So we are targeting high ridership areas. We want to take advantage of open space. We're going to stay away from residential parking.
What does unprogrammed curbside space mean?
Well, let me show you. No, not that. So like right here, in front of the Porsche Gallery, that space is not for parking, but it's not for standing. It probably has some sort of unofficial loading and unloading usage. So we think this would be a great location. This is not really
That's a
used for-
roadway, isn't it?
Well, not that area, that's the curb lane.
I mean,
It's not in the
Oh,
travel
oh,
lane.
I see.
Yeah, it's right up against the
but
curb.
it is the roadway, it's not the sidewalk.
Correct.
It's in the intersection.
Yeah. But just, so we did one of these, a little hard to see, this picture's kind of small, but we installed one just the other day in DuPont Circle, hugely popular, like you can barely see it because it's totally crammed full of bikes and scooters. So we think this is a program that really has legs, and we want to be doing a lot of these where we have the opportunities. So the two locations that we're looking at, and we've developed these in partnership with the bid, was Portrait Gallery right here, and then the other one just around the corner. We want to extend this existing corral and expand it right in front of the gallery place.
Can I just ask you,
Yeah.
on A Street, it's a major vista in the city, I mean, it's historic. And I'm wondering whether it's really, I'm sorry to say this, but really whether it's such a good idea to put something in the historic vista. I know that buses for the museum, tour buses stop there, and
Yeah.
they discharge passengers there because it is a no parking area. So I'm sort of curious if it's.
I'll have to agree with Joanne, I don't think it's gonna fly.
Which location?
The other one.
The other one? Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, because you guys tried to put a bike rack in front of where the Navy Memorial is, there's another spot like that, and it blocked the vista, and it was moved
To the side.
To the side.
Okay. Well, that's a good feedback for us to hear. Our hope is the design is pretty low lying and it would not interrupt the view shed. We didn't think this raised the level of coming under SHPO or coming under.
It's not, it's really, please don't.
Okay. All right. Well, we are very open to alternatives if there are locations where you think this would
Just
be
put it
more
on
useful.
either side of that. and you're
Just not right in the middle?
It's right, not right in the middle.
That is great feedback.
Yes, you can move it up either way on that particular block, there's a lot of room.
Okay. Yeah.
And actually on that block, there's room on the sidewalk, because it's a very wide
Yeah.
sidewalk on the north
Yeah.
side.
That sounds neat if we do.
It's probably the biggest sidewalk in the city.
That's probably true. Well, but then it's got, the farmer's market, it's got the,
But the farmer's market never goes in the center, nothing ever, by the way, nothing is ever put in the center.
Yeah, the farmer's market is in two pieces.
It's in two pieces. They don't, even though it's so temporary for one afternoon, for several hours, they don't block that vista.
Oh,
It's
no, you're
amazing
right,
if
you're right.
people don't do that, but it's.
well, I'm just saying that if we move the corral left or right, we would keep the farmer's market in their way.
If on the sidewalk.
On the sidewalk.
But not on the street.
Yeah, so we could in the street. So this is very bad for us to have.
Or even if you put it on the sidewalk, it's such a wide sidewalk, it might be okay. I mean, look at where the tents are there, and there are two rows of tents, it's front and back.
Yeah.
So the outside tent on the right-hand side, you can see it in the photo, is past the granite strip.
Okay.
And there's still
And-
quite a bit of property where you can see where you have bike racks further down, between the granite strip and the curb. It may even be able to be put on that sidewalk there, behind the tent.
Okay, so we'll take this one back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I think keeping it in the street
Mhm.
is a wise decision.
I-
Because we are trying to change the behavior in the city that these are not sidewalk vehicles. And I do appreciate that. I also appreciate the need to have more bicycle lanes, protected lanes for folks to ride in, them, especially on streets like 7th Street, for example. However, I'm also wondering if this could be moved closer to the Capital One arena. On the corner, there is a Capital bike station there. If it could be moved outside of that, just out of curiosity, if it wasn't placed in the middle.
Yeah, we can take a look at that. And in fact, if there are recommendations from the community, if you want to put those together and send them my way, we'll get out there and we'll take measurements and make sure that we're, able to
How much
implement this
space do
safely.
you need? I mean.
About one parking space.
The depth,
Yeah, we need about 6 to 8 feet of depth, and we like, 10 feet of length, but we can be pretty flexible. It's a pretty flexible design. I think that if we were shrinking it less than 6 feet, it would not be very useful for people. It's even
okay, I
better
just didn't
isolated.
know, have any idea, I never measured.
Oh, yeah. So we'll repull this design, we'll let you know what else we come up with, and we'd like to, these are sort of the first batch, and we want to start doing a lot more, so if there are areas where you think they'd be useful, because the thought is, once we get enough of these built up, we can then start talking to the scooter companies and say, hey, when you put the scooters down, you gotta put them in these, like when you deploy them. And that's gonna sort of train people, that's where you pick them up, and we've already seen that where we put these down, people organically start using them. So with the scooters, we really think people do want to follow rules, it's just not clear what those are. So if we start providing these locations and we make it very clear, we've already seen, really encouraging results. Especially if you look at the Metropolitan Branch Trail near the NOMA red line stop, we did just a couple quick stencils up there, and people just immediately started using them, took care of the issue.
I do have a suggestion for something nearby. The southwest corner of 9th and F Street is a very narrow sidewalk. It's because of the offset of F Street. It's where the Riggs Bank building is and the hotel thing. And that corner, it turns very quickly and a very narrow sidewalk, but it's very busy. So it gets congested, and sometimes someone drops a scooter right, just beyond the building. The building is, the property line is it's a narrow sidewalk, so the property line is right there. And it's too congested to have someone drop a scooter or a bicycle.
Yeah.
So something that is just beyond there, on either side of F and 9th, even if it's on the sidewalk between the tree pits on 9th,
Right.
would be really helpful, because it would be a sign to people that they should put those vehicles, I think of those vehicles there, but yeah, those things.
I do think your other one in the area on 7th Street is a great location for a number of reasons, including the stopping, somewhat of a barrier, whether it's perceived or real, for pedestrians walking out into that 7th and G intersection as well, which I think is great. So there is no commitment at this point from the companies to drop the scooters there or pick them up?
No, I mean, they've expressed a willingness, but we just haven't built enough to accommodate the volume of scooters that we have in the city right now.
Got it, okay.
I have a couple comments. I don't think you're gonna get people to ride those in the street. You go to get on a scooter, you don't usually have a helmet with you. I wouldn't give you the street. And I see a lot of kids on those things.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Not
that's
just
really about it.
like 1 or 2, but especially on the weekends downtown.
Yeah.
And I think people feel like it's not safe to ride in the street with those particular vehicles. And plus, we really do need some signage downtown that says, it's not just the scooters, it's the bikes too. Capital Share bikes, it's mainly tourists and people want to ride around. I get it, but it's kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of education that needs to be done, whether or not you pick it up in the street, whether you're gonna keep it in the street, that remains to be seen, but I think it is a good idea to keep the ones that have been, just dropped off in a place that's not on the sidewalk. So that's a start.
All right.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Can I relate to that, which is that if there seems to have been sort of a stop in putting in truly protected bicycle lanes in downtown, and if you can get bicycle lanes that are truly protected, not cars and then a bicycle lane that is not a protected lane, but it's bicycle lane and then cars parked on more streets so that people could use them for both scootering and I never heard that word before, and bicycling, that may really help down here because it isn't safe to use a scooter in the street now. It just,
I
there's no.
completely agree, yeah, and I don't work on the bike lane project, so I don't want to get myself in trouble here, but I think the DDOT would also like to be installing more of these and.
But why can't they be combined, bike and scooter? I mean, they both are going at about the same speed.
Oh, certainly, yeah, the protected infrastructure
Yeah,
piece
protected
is
infrastructure.
complex, and I
It
think
just-
the delays are not happening from within DDOT, is my understanding, but I should not say any more about that.
Aaron, do you need
Huh?
any recommendation from the ANC to move forward with any of these projects?
I don't believe so. I just wanted to keep you apprised. If you'd like to write us a letter of support, we'd certainly appreciate it. It really would help. If we encounter any, issues at any point in the process internally. I think the most helpful thing is if you can recommend additional locations to us, that would be great.
But what about
And
letters
do-
of support for more for a combination scooter bicycle lanes downtown?
Yeah, we would love that too.
Do you, sorry about the train of thought. Gone. I'll email you.
Okay. Is there anything else I can speak to?
Thank you.
All right, thank you all very much, and, yeah, if you.
When would the installation happen or something like that?
That's a good question. We probably in the next couple of weeks. It's frankly, it's me and Greg in a truck, and it's when we have time to do it, we go have to do it, so.
I would love to see the one in front of the McDonald's area
Sure.
happen quickly.
Sure.
I think it would be interesting to see how it is utilized in that area.
Okay, yeah, I think we could probably get to that in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next up, local events that impact the community, is someone here from the Atlantic Festival.
Yes, and I also have information that's but.
It's my favorite magazine.
Oh, that's okay, I remember that.
Hey,
Good evening, my name is Erin West, and I work with the Atlantic Project for the Atlantic Festival. This is Rachel, she's the festival director. And Jason Berger, who's senior event manager. We're back. This is the 11th year for the Atlantic Festival. It's called something different, but for the last several, it's been called the Atlantic Festival. It's taking place this year, September 24th through 26th. And hopefully all of this will be a repeat of information for you. So we might gloss through it really quickly. If you have questions, we're obviously here to help and answer. But it should be a lot of the same story. We take over several venues on F Street between about 6th and 9th Streets. I guess I would say the anchor for all of the Atlantic Festival is what's called the Idea Station. That's at the Harmon Hall. In addition to that, we take over Rosa Mexicana, the Hotel Monaco, the Lofts, and then we also build a tent in the middle of F Street in between 7th and 8th. And in addition to taking over venues and building tents, we also bring in a ton of speakers. We host book signings. We do breakout lunches, and
these are some photos from our presence on F Street last year. This is the structure that we placed in the middle of the 700 block. And we took over part of the sidewalk outside of the portrait gallery and had an activation there, a conversation wall that the public engaged with. So just wanted to show you some visuals. Stanley Cup stopped by, which is always fun.
So everything that's in addition to what's on our idea stage, we'll do everything at all these different venues in between book talks, ancillary events to talk about everything from culture to politics, tech, and science, and a number of receptions as well.
Here are the statistics from 2018. We're sort of anticipating the same in terms of attendance this year, and hopefully bigger, better numbers for reception on the percentage numbers.
Who can go to these?
It's open to the public. Anyone's welcome to sign up and register.
Anyone, okay.
Yep, theatlanticfestival.com for those that are interested.
Shameless plug. These are the speakers that we had last year. I will let these ladies speak a little bit about the speakers that we have this year.
Yep, so again, this is last year's speaker lineup. You can see there's a mix of sort of national names, but also some locals. Of course, Jose Andres usually participates year over year. This year we've got a couple exciting additions. We've got Yo-Yo Ma, the world famous cellist, who's going to be there and performing for us. Arnold Schwarzenegger will be with us, which is kind of interesting, but he's actually going to be talking about gerrymandering, which is a huge sort of mantle he's taken up. A bunch of other folks locally, we're anticipating potential. Again, Jose loves to do this annually. Mayor Bowser is going to speak as well. So our lineup is still taking shape, but we're really excited. More statistics.
More statistics. And hoping to meet these for the chair. So this is what we presented to the city for the mayor's office. Mayor's Special Events Task Force Group, which is a mouthful. And this is a rendering of what the tent will also look like this year. This is the tent that we talked about being on F Street between 7th and 8th. And these are a lot of drawings showing you the size of the space. This is actually was just resubmitted to that same office just because we actually decided to take the dimensions and overall size down a little bit to just encompass that one section of the city block. So the tent is 34 by 132, and it just will sit right in between the National Portrait Gallery and the Hotel Monaco.
It's huge.
Good thing it's not a student farm.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to say, Aaron, don't put the new thing in there. In addition to that, there's also an application.
But he said they can move them easily, so.
Yeah, right.
He's on it.
This is just the same, just showing traffic patterns, which you'll see a little bit closer here in just a moment. So this layout accommodates for the farmers market that obviously we all know takes place on a Thursday.
Right.
We do have a letter of support from them that we turned into the city already.
Move the tents down.
Yeah, so we'll just reconfigure and share the space. They've been really good partners, they were last year, and we are looking to do better for them this year, so.
Now, is 8th Street closed as well as all
So
the way to the?
So it's open for local traffic. So
What does that mean?
They're gonna put barriers at, 8th Street on the east, on F Street on the east side so that you can't go through, and you can go across F and then south on 8th, or north on 8th and west on F.
They went to play that last year with people, so they tried to turn there to come into their building, and they said no.
So the garage, we do, an MPD will make special concessions for the garage, also the carriage deliveries for the Hotel Monaco. And then we also move the Hotel Monaco valet from F Street around the corner. So all of those concessions are accounted for with the MPD
It's
this
just
year.
that people don't know necessarily what route to take in advance, so that they get stuck. I guess is what happens.
Last year, there wasn't necessarily proper detour signage provided by DDOT, but we're working with them this year to make sure that all the placards.
Oh, good.
The other thing too, last year, DDOT didn't provide the printouts of like the permit notating the closure until the day before, so it didn't give folks enough time to be notified of that. So those are all things that Erica and team are sort of working to make sure are through there.
Which I think
The
is a
community.
72-hour maximum that they give you for those permits, but.
We had less than like 24 hours,
Right.
which isn't ideal.
So all of those things were flagged from last year, so that's definitely going to be addressed this year.
And there won't be physical barriers that are obstructing the roadways from local traffic. It'll be MPD vehicles, so they'll obviously be able to move and allow the appropriate access. There won't be like a hard barrier.
Oh, so you are gonna use vehicles there.
That's what MPD and DDOT have recommended.
This is just the same showing, so the red shows, like pedestrian and local traffic, and then the blue is the road closure, or in this picture, it kind of looks purple against the tent, but yeah, dedicated road closure there. This is talking about the tent specifically, the section we just went over, as I mentioned, the size and dimensions of that tent. We anticipate having space for 200 people, both seated and standing, and not to exceed that figure. There are 2 generators that will be brought in and housed in what we call a boneyard in the back and then protected by security. And obviously going over and permits for that as well. We do have 6 10-by-20 tents that sit on the sidewalk. That will be on the north side of F, adjacent to the National Portrait Gallery, and that will house some of the pictures that Rachel pointed out earlier of the public activations.
Where are the porta potties go?
So there'll be, ugly porta potties will be in the boneyard. Pretty toilets will be on the sidewalk, and they will be manned by security.
No, but which, on F Street?
On F Street, we have an 8-foot privacy fence, and the porta potties, the ugly ones, will sit behind that fence.
Behind.
Correct.
Good.
Pretty ones will be visible.
Any other questions, commissioners? Any other questions? I'd like to make a motion, we send a letter of support, that we're sending this to Mayor's Task Force. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hope to see you guys there.
Thank you very much.
We look forward to it.
You have to register. Wait. Online, there's a sign up. You just have to go to the link. That's great.
Okay, next up will be Susan G. Cronin Ford and Penn Quarter.
Can you be my first?
I mean, I think
Good evening. My name is Joey Farmery. I'm with a company called Vintage. We, on behalf of the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation, are producing a More Than Pink Walk, which is formerly Race for the Cure. Joanne, just put a copy next to you. I didn't bring copies necessarily for everybody, but if anybody's interested, there are a few back on the table back there. The event is Saturday, September 7th. This is, I think, the third year that we're occupying Pennsylvania Avenue between 14th and 12th, and 13th between Ian Penn and Freedom Plaza. That contains the whole area. The More Than Pink Walk is just under 3 miles. We've shortened it from the course that we used to use when it was an actual 5K race. We use pretty much the standard 5K route that MPD is in favor of, with the exception that we shortened it. So we're looking at about 2.78 miles. The day of the event, we'll have volunteers show up at about 6 in the morning. Participants can register starting at 7 a.m. We will do a opening ceremony at about 8:45 with step off at 9. We expect our slowest walkers to be back by about 10:30. And at 11 o'clock, we'll start to strike the event site. And I put in my letter that we expect probably to be gone by 3 p.m. Hope is that it's a little bit sooner than that. I think last year we were out just around 3, waiting on one very slow vendor that hopefully gets their act together this year. Any questions?
Just to make sure, the street, I mean, it doesn't seem that you're active on Freedom Plaza, North Street, the streets will be open at 10.
No, so the street, Saturday night at midnight is when 14th Street will close so that we can get up our tents and signage. The race or the walk starts at 9 a.m.
14th Street will be closed?
No, Pennsylvania Avenue between 14th and 12th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just adjacent to Freedom Plaza.
Right, okay.
So we expect Pennsylvania to be open by 3.
In the afternoon?
Mhm,
Okay,
yeah.
so it's an hour, well, I gave an extra hour. Okay, thank you.
And setups of the tents on Freedom Plaza will happen.
So the Freedom Plaza setup will happen on Friday, starting at 8 a.m. is when our vendor will show up and we'll start to get those tents put up on the
They'll
plaza.
be in place during the day. They'll be all set up then.
Just the plaza will be completely set up
Oh, great.
on Friday, and then
Excellent.
Pennsylvania is Saturday night.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
I would like to do that we send a letter of support for the Susan G. Coleman More Than Pink Walk.
Second.
All in favor?
Why did you change the title of the event?
So, turns out, runs don't actually have a lot of fundraisers. So, runners don't really raise money, and walkers do. And so, the race has been around for 30 plus years, and in fact, it was my company who actually did a bunch of data research and showed them the way of how to make more fundraising dollars. And so we put more into the walk and then also into their missions. We're doing some activations that are really focused around research and care and action, and it's working, so, yeah. Great, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. The Fast and Fierce 5K Presidential Loop.
Hello, everybody. I'm here with Pages Project Controls. We're a small consulting company in Silver Spring, Maryland. Our mascot is the rhino because it is fierce and loyal and not afraid to challenge like an aged employee. So last year, we had a project to come up with the best community service that we could think of, and that was a 5K teaming up with the Friends of the National Zoo to benefit rhino preservation. And last year was our first annual one, and it went well. I think we raised around $40,000 to $50,000. And so we thought, hey, why not try again? So it's September 14th. For funds, it gets people out of the office, friends and family, raise money for a good cause. Around $50,000. We had 600 runners. Our goal, hopefully, is 1,000 this year. We're trying to get bigger and better. It starts at Freedom Plaza, goes from 13th in Penn to about 3rd in Penn. It's in Ward 2, which is what brings me here. Here you can see the course. Going all the way down here. We'll have porta potties and the health station at Freedom Plaza, wash stations going through the course. We're required to have water barriers surrounding the Trump Hotel. Here you can see the various street closures. We've already gotten, I think, conditional approvals from the Mayor's Task Force. And we've obtained all these permits so far, very close to getting them. It starts from 8 in the morning, noon. Setup starts around 5:30 or 6, I believe. We're thinking the race will probably be done by 11, but an hour or so to complete. I guess we're going for 1,500 at 40 volunteers and staff. And this is kind of the estimated timeline.
When are you setting up the tents?
5 in the morning, that day. Everything we set up before. We did it last year. It's really not that much, it's just a couple of tents at Freedom Plaza.
Isn't that the noise of the hotels?
In the morning,
At that hour of the morning, yeah.
5 to 6.
I don't want to make a comment about the noise of the hotel. I've been on the ANC for 10 years doing it, and I've never had a complaint from them once. And we always, protect the hotels up there, and they never communicate with me.
That's probably because they feel it's futile, because they did complain one time, there was a big meeting with DC council members and stuff like that, because of that. So they sort of trust me to speak up for them.
Okay, fair enough. I just, always hear that, and then, some of the participants set up at 5 in the morning, and no one ever communicates that was a bad thing. And some of them do it the day before, which I think is great.
That's great, yeah. I mean, at least do Freedom Plaza the day before, because it's not disturbing any traffic or anything.
Right.
Then there's very little to do on the street, and it's much less noise. I mean, I know setting up tents, that those metal pieces aren't gently placed on the sidewalk.
Fair.
Yeah. How big are the tents? Question, yeah.
It's really just kind of this structure with tables, a few of them, and then some, I guess, food trucks setting up. So it's not that intensive, I don't think, just, a little structure with a table.
It's not like you have a stage.
No stages, no stages.
It's not like the Atlantic tent or one of those.
Well, I was thinking
That's why I'm thinking, that doesn't look compromised.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be a problem. No, I was just thinking that some people who do have races have a stage on Freedom Plaza and have music.
Those are the big events when they have 5,000, 10,000 runners.
In a few years, we'll get there. And then we'll make sure it's up.
Then when you set up the next.
We will make sure to do that in a few years, but we are unfortunately not there yet.
Questions or comments? Okay. I would like to make a motion that we send a letter of support for the past year's 5K, Friends of the National Zoo, for their September 14th run.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, yes. Time.
Go Rhinos.
Yes.
Thank you. Excuse me. This is video.
Thank you so much.
Sure. We just wanted to provide a brief update from our last meeting regarding alcohol beverage licensing. At our last meeting, DC Riggs, DC Washington DC, Riggs, sorry, I think it's now, Riggs Washington DC hotel approached us asking for their support for their liquor license at the hotel at 900 S Street, which included sidewalk, cafe, and a rooftop event space. At the last meeting, the ANC conditionally indicated that they should, they were in the process actually, of completing a settlement agreement with Montana at 912 S Street Northwest, which is a residential building there, limiting the sound and putting some agreements in place that would be binding to their license. That was completed, and I'd like to thank all the parties involved in that. And a settlement agreement was reached. The ANC yesterday did send a letter of support with the settlement agreement supporting DC Riggs liquor license as our instruction was at our last meeting in July.
So, moving right along, last but not least, the 555 Pennsylvania Avenue Johns Hopkins project. Hello, welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Marissa McKeever. Can you all see me? I feel really short behind this thing. That's better.
Marissa McKeever, Director of Government and Community Affairs for City Memorial Hospital, Johns Hopkins Medicine.
I'm being told to use the mic. And this is my colleague, Mitch Bonanno, Chief Real Estate Officer with Johns Hopkins Medicine University. Thank you for having us here today. We are here to give you all an update on our plans for acquisition of 555 Pennsylvania Avenue. I want to start by just at least giving you kind of a big picture of Johns Hopkins in DC. And I've been with, let me see. So I've been with Sibley for about 4.5 years now, and Sibley affiliated with Johns Hopkins back in 2010. So when you think about Johns Hopkins from a corporate structure, it includes both Johns Hopkins Health System as well as Johns Hopkins University. So some of you are probably familiar with the largest current footprint of Johns Hopkins in DC, which is Sibley Hospital. Collectively, between Sibley and the other Hopkins entities in DC, we've done a lot over the years to just contributing to the economic impact of the district as well as community impact. So for example, in fiscal year 2017, we contributed a total of over $400 million in economic impact. And really this is done in about 3 different ways, listed here on the right-hand side. The first is around Johns Hopkins University educating DC residents and paying those residents, providing those residents with financial aid for their education. The second is around delivery of health care. So in DC, Johns Hopkins has about 3,000 employees. Sibley includes about 2,000 of those. That gives you a little bit of perspective on the value that Sibley brings to the district. And also through community investments. So Sibley provided almost $20 million in community benefit in fiscal year 17 and almost $4 million in free care to patients. So I'm going to turn to Mitch to give you a breakdown of the university in DC and our plans for how we intend to use the space. I'm imagining, we are collectively imagining within the Johns Hopkins system that our community impact and our economic impact will not only continue, but ideally will grow with plans for use of the space at 555. So I'm going to turn to Mitch now, and he's going to go into the details around the university and what we plan to do with the space. Thank you.
And is it okay if I take about 10 minutes to talk about it? Or, okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, and thrilled to be here. We actually presented to the Penn Quarter Neighborhood Association this morning, so we are fresh off the trail here today. So again, nice to get thrilled to be here. So DC for us, our academic sort of platform has somewhat been an extension of Baltimore, but it has never been the true focus of Hopkins. Hopkins is a Baltimore institution. We've been on Mass Avenue for more than 50 years with our School of International Study, our Career School, and Carey Business School. So today, those schools are in pretty well, and I apologize, the right side of the right side of the presentation is a little bit cut off. So we own 3 of the buildings on Mass Avenue, 1619, 1717, and 1740 Mass Avenue, and then we lease space in the 4th building, the Airline Pilots Building, which is 1625 Mass, where Carey operates out of. So our goal is to consolidate this entire platform into 555 Pennsylvania Avenue and eventually sell these buildings on Mass Avenue. And we started almost 3 years ago on planning path for what we were going to do in DC. And looked at a lot of different potential things that we could do, renovate these buildings, consolidate into one building, somewhere new development. And because the existing buildings really are not working for us anymore and really don't work for how higher is delivered today. They're older buildings, we don't have a campus feel, we're in 4 different buildings, we're split up. People love the area and activity, but the facilities really don't work well for us anymore. So again, we describe this building as a confluence of events that brought us here. So nobody is happy that the museum is closing. It's something that has been happening for almost 5 years. It's been written about in the post several times. And years ago, they were in the market for a commercial partner to take some of the space from them. Nothing ever really happened with it, and they eventually listed the building for sale. So that was about a year ago, and we were one of the few folks that saw the opportunity, and with some great philanthropic support, came to an agreement with Freedom Forum to acquire the building. And again, it's just a phenomenal opportunity. Everyone here knows the building well and knows the location. It was really unprecedented for us to make this type of investment in one acquisition. But we look at this as a 100-year decision. So we think we bring an incredible sort of stabilizing aspect to this building, that once this happens and once we're here, we are in this location forever. So with that, what we are acquiring, so that property was all built together. It consists of the museum, the executive offices and conference space on the top floor, the residential tower, which is 135 market rate units that are owned by Freedom Forum and operated as an apartment building, and the retail space, which is currently the Wolfgang Puck restaurant on the ground floor. And we are acquiring all of this, not necessarily because we are in the residential or restaurant business, but that it is all built together as one project. It functions so interwound that you really hard to operate a university in one and have a separate owner of residential, and that potentially becoming condos or something else is just for a 100-year decision is not an ideal situation. So we are acquiring the entire building with the understanding that the residential was never for sale separately. We're figuring for them saying we're going to sell this, we're selling the whole thing as one package. So, what we're thinking to do here, a lot of work to convert this for higher rate lease. So this is a really complex building. Again, it was all built together, so there's 2 levels of underground parking, 500 seat theater in the center of the building, the residential tower here, and the rest of the museum space that was built as a museum. So deep space without a lot of windows and light works really well for a museum. It doesn't actually work that well for many other uses. So a big part of our revision in this building is how you get light further into the building, into the deep spaces for both classrooms and offices and other things, while keeping some of the amazing attributes of the building, like the 500-seat theater, some of the broadcast studios, and the incredible roof terraces, and quite frankly, the massing of the building, which was very carefully designed when it was originally done. And I should add that we hired the original design team that designed the building originally. They're now called Eniad Architects, but it's Polchak. Partnership was the designer, so we have the same firms working with us now, so they understand the building in its context. This is sort of how the building functions today, and the blue arrows show we're lighting it into the front of it. This is Pennsylvania Avenue, and it's a very limited area. So one of the things we need to work to change to the back of the building is the residential tower, so that's a blank wall. And the east side of the building is the Canadian Embassy, so that is a blank wall as well. So we're really working with 6th Street and Pennsylvania Avenue to get light into the building and the atrium, and that's really what we're focusing on, is the atrium to do that with a concept we're calling the vertical quad. So if you think about a typical university quad with a big lawn in the middle with buildings around it, we sort of taken that and stood it up vertically, where the atrium will function as the central quad space, the organizing function of the building, with all the different activities off of that. So again, the building has an amazing ground floor lobby, entry area. That will be the organizing center of the building and the core of the space. We're really looking at this as the future of delivery of higher ed as well. So less assigned, hard program space and much more flexible, adaptable space and convenient areas in the building, many of which we will open to the public as well, and I will get into that. So again, just a little bit more here about the future of delivery of higher ed space and how classrooms have changed over time, just some pictures from other projects that our architects have done. But transform the building itself. So this is our concept for the new ground floor plan of the building. So the front-facing area of Pennsylvania Avenue, which is the bottom of the page, will have very active uses, including either library or collaboration space, which is shown in the orange, and then new food service space, which is shown in the light purple, potentially outdoor seating in the recessed area of the building along Pennsylvania Avenue. And we are in discussions with NCPC, GSA, and National Park Service, and everybody else who has jurisdiction over those areas, all those plans, and I'll touch on that as well. But we really want to abide in Pennsylvania in that area, and we do it at times that the museum doesn't. So weekends and evenings, we actually have a fair amount of activity that runs into the evenings for classes, whereas currently this area of Pennsylvania Avenue really rolls up around 5 or 6 o'clock at night when the work's closed, and the museum closes, and it gets so quiet. We will bring extended hour activity, which we know NCPC and others are looking for as well. So this is an initial rendering of our redesign of the building, and we presented this as informational here to the Commission of Fine Arts, and actually received very favorable feedback on it. So if you remember, the building today has the First Amendment panel on the front, and it has a big inset window that looks at a jumbotron in the center of the screen, because it's a museum for news, so the news playing on there all the time. We took a very different approach of adding a stone surround that matches the context of the adjacent buildings on Pennsylvania Avenue, and really opening up the center with more glass. And the First Amendment model is actually a museum asset that they will take with them when they leave as well. So again, really trying to open up the center so that light gets into the atrium, bumping out that recessed window area so that we create usable space along Pennsylvania Avenue as well. And again, here is a concept rendering of what it may look like looking at it on Pennsylvania Avenue, and that is sort of looking west down Pennsylvania Avenue. So the Canadian Embassy would be just on the right here. And again, trying to add activity to the front of the building, create almost a porch effect to the entrance of the building. You know, students like to congregate in areas, so we think we'll have students, you know, hang around on the steps in the front of the building, and again, adding activity to the area. And then obviously we have the wonderful open space right across the street that we think folks will utilize as well. So again, really looking at this as a way to change our interaction with DC on a higher ed level. The theater and the convenience space makes this a location that we can do much more in terms of engaging policymakers and, quite frankly, the neighborhood than when we can in our current locations where we are. And I just want to talk for a moment about the regulatory process. So we will need a PADC plan amendment because when it was done at the museum, it was approved as a museum for the news. So that is allowed at this location. So we will have to amend the PADC plan. Higher ed is actually allowed by the current DC zoning in this location by right, but nothing about this site is by right, so I dare to even say those words. But we are consistent with DC zoning. There is a land use restriction agreement and a pilot agreement in place with DC from the original development of the project that in coming months we hope the mayor's office will introduce legislation to amend to allow for our use and acquisition of this building as well. Then we'll obviously have all the normal building permits and regulatory processes. We will have to go through TIPA for the residences, and that will not occur until after we close on the commercial aspect. So as I said, the museum never intended to sell the residences alone, and would not want to sell them alone if we weren't buying the commercial. So the intent is that as we're getting our regulatory approvals and coming to actually buy the commercial part of the building is when TIPA notice will be given and that process will start, and the tenants will have the opportunity to organize and purchase the residences if they are so inclined, but it would not be done in advance of us acquiring the commercial aspect. And then obviously much engagement to come with community groups and neighborhood associations, and everyone has been so welcoming. We really do appreciate it. Sort of benefits to DC. So we're going to talk about what we do currently. This is an opportunity to extend that considerably. So again, with the spaces in this building that allow for public interaction, public access, use of the theater, conference space, having food service that both serves our students and the public. We have been a great neighbor, we think, in the DuPont Circle area for many years. We will even be a better neighbor in this neighborhood because we have better facilities to share with the community. And again, as I mentioned, we really look at this as a 100-year decision. So our next steps are to continue engaging with NCPC, GSA, National Park Service, all the folks that govern the PADC plan. And we will have an upcoming meeting, I think, in September that NCPC will host, that I think everyone is invited to come join and comment. We're continuing to work with DC on the land use restriction agreement and pilot. We will eventually file for building permits, and we will do all those things before we actually buy the building. So we are in agreement to buy the building with the creative firm. We have not purchased it yet. We cannot purchase it until we have regulatory approval. So we could not buy this building if we could not use it for our future intended use. So it's a condition of our contract that we receive regulatory approval. And then once we do that, the museum, and I never speak for the Penn Quarter Museum, they have publicly reported that they will close their facility at the end of this year, if that is their intent, and start to move their assets out. So once they have moved out, and once we obtain our regulatory approvals, we will then embark on about 30 months of construction, which will consist of a $200 million plus renovation to the building. Not much on the inside of that building, stays as is, works for higher ed use, including the front facade. So it is an incredible investment in the project, and again, it only makes sense if it's looked at very long term. And with that, I'll just move up here from our president, and everyone from the president of the university to the Canadian embassy next door, and Ron Daniels is actually Canadian, so he has that connection. Everyone seems really excited about this, as are we, and again, while no one likes to see the museum closing, we've received a very good reception about this being a wonderful reuse of the building long term as opposed to a more commercial type use. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions or whatever your schedule allows. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions from the audience?
You had mentioned, sorry. Oh, you had mentioned that you're seeking the mayor to propose legislation. What kind of it is trying to be removed?
So there's a pilot agreement, so payment in lieu of taxes agreement that was done for the museum. As a higher ed institution in DC, we are tax exempt. So we don't need specific legislation regarding our taxes, so we tend to function just like we do today, just like any other higher ed university does in DC. So the pilot's not really needed. And then there's a land use restriction agreement that gave DC certain control over what was on the site, since it was a DC property that was sold to the museum initially. So those conditions need to be waived as well for it to operate as a higher ed use. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I have a question which is, it might be a little naive to just understand. You have the apartment building now. Is that rentals or is that the condos?
It's rentals today, and we intend to keep it as rentals.
So there won't be converted to condos. And then there's the bookend restaurant and so on. So presumably there would be income then coming from the apartment building and the restaurant, commercial space. But as a nonprofit, that income is not tax-free.
That income is taxable. That income is fully taxable, and we would pay property taxes on residential. The only time we're tax exempt is when we are the owner and the user of the asset. So the actual academic space falls in the tax exempt bucket. Anything that is a commercial aspect, like a restaurant or residential, we would pay taxes just like any other business on that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, I did get a note from neighbors across the street, 601, and they have a listening service. And this is probably down the road, but maybe we just touch on, just so you know, there are some concerns. Basically, one of them is construction and rooftop noise. I guess they've just gone through a major construction over there at the courthouse right behind them.
Yes.
That has been on for 2 years now. And I think one of their, as they addressed it, they would just like updates and regular meetings and to know, it says here, by regular updates, including their planning, construction, and various schedule, is sufficiently detailed frequency that we know in advance the planning times that most of the noise will occur, and also when the roadway and utility construction will occur. I think it's a totally reasonable request.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of communicating with their kind of association, because they're right across the street from me. And they also were wondering about what you had in mind for the rooftop as far as use goes.
Sure. So the on the construction side, I'll touch on that first. Yes, absolutely, and we are far away from even knowing ourselves the schedule of that and the actual path. We absolutely will hold regular meetings on site and provide communication avenue to keep all the neighbors informed, as we would expect anyone else to do construction in that area as well. We have engaged at least for pre-construction, Clark Construction, so again, a very reputable contractor who does this all the time, and no one's found a way to make construction completely not noisy or dusty. So there are always the challenges, but we have a really good team on board that does this all the time and understands it. So yeah, absolutely, we'll keep everyone informed. And thankfully, we don't envision any major utility work because we're keeping a lot of the bones of the building the same, and it's more of an architectural renovation. So it's not your typical new development where we have to tear up old streets and put in new utilities. So that'll help. And on rooftop, so we are still working on how we're going to use this building. But it is going to be dedicated for our mission, as opposed to today. There are a lot of third-party events that happen in this building, weddings and other things. We actually see much less of that going forward because of the amount of time in advance you have to book those events. 1 year, 2 years in advance, and then you can't use it for your own use if you need it once you're in that business. So we actually see probably a reduction, and we talked about this morning at Penn Quarter. Probably a reduction in impact to the neighbors in terms of events and in terms of tour buses pulling up and letting groups on and off at the museum and some of the things that we've heard are challenges today. And we obviously we want to use these amenities to the fullest of their ability, but really at least see our impact as a reduction in what is considered today.
Tagging up on the bus situation that you heard about the meeting this morning, there's a bit of concern about added traffic and parking to the area as a whole. Do you know how many parking spaces are currently available?
There's about 150, and 83 of them are designated for the residences of the apartment building. So there's actually not a lot of on-site parking, and very similar to our location on Mass Avenue near Gmont. We have about 40 spaces total. We have about
50 does that.
Yep, please. Yeah. Do you know how to do it?
On.
We have very limited spaces there today, and a lot of our faculty get there by other means other than driving, and almost all of our students do. So again, all of our programs are grad students, not undergrad. We don't provide housing on site for any students, and the vast majority of them take public transportation or other means to get to our campuses today. We think that will continue, and this location is so transit heavy and friendly that we think that will continue.
What's that estimated number of grad students there?
3,000. I mean, total enrollment, so.
They won't all be there at the same time, but,
Unlikely, yes. But the museum gets 700,000 plus visitors, a year, plus or minus. I think ours are spaced out a little bit more in classes and times and all of that. But again, our students are not driving to class today because there is no parking where we are today.
yeah, there's 2 separate stations.
Right.
Ken, I just want to add that it will have evening class, and they have evening class now.
Yes.
Sure.
Decades ago, there, and taught there. But that will help enliven an additional block that is pretty quiet. That's an understatement at night. And so that would be probably a good asset. And they plan on, as you can see in the drawing, have a dining facility on the ground floor, which I understand will be available to the public, which would also be a nice asset to have as a community.
I think it sort of fits in with this CPC plan of lining up as
but given that that is a given, this is probably, as I say, as good as you get. So I think we're fortunate that they have a user that will be an asset to the community and not just there.
That's definitely our hope, and if you have any views, feel free to connect this individual, me or anyone else that is asking you questions. Feel free to have them know that they can have a point of contact if they have questions. Yeah. That's our job.
You know, they just have to know how things, I think we had a bad experience with, it's the district, you know, doing the construction across the street, and once they finally got that all ironed out, the job was almost done, so it's important just to communicate to people, they realize this is the city, and just want to know what's going on.
Maybe they'll pay that earplugs.
This is a budget.
This is the first of a few meetings, several meetings, so we look forward to it.
And I don't anticipate this construction going at night. I think some of that happened because they're allowed to. Yeah.
We follow the typical building permit construction hours, and obviously with residential attached to the building, anytime we get concerned for our own tenants as well.
And also, it's a renovation, so a lot of the construction is interior, you don't see that at all. It's usually just exterior.
There's going to be
Some, but it's not like a new building.
We're not driving miles. We are demoing a bunch of slabs inside, but we're not doing really noisy inside outside work.
I just wanted to thank you all for coming and communicating your plans and process, and any way that we can be supportive as a C, as a community. I think, I would say that please reach out to us, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you down the road in the permitting process.
As we get closer to introduction of legislation, we definitely want to reach out to you to get your support as we move through that process. So we'll keep you posted down the road. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Is there any other business that we need to discuss?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that. All in favor?